So in this diagnostic quiz, fractions to decimals, the focus was all about being able to interchange between the two versions. So this first question, which of these equalities is not actually true? So you're looking at 31 over 1,000. So in terms of if you're checking to see if that's true, you've got your column headings, right, units, tenths, hundreds, and then thousands. So 31 thousandth would be 31 in those two columns with a 0 there, and you'd have that. So clearly that one is true. For 7 tenths, you'd have a 7 in the tens column, and it would therefore look like that, 0.7, which is clearly not what is here. So that must be the one which is not true. If you wanted to check the other ones, let's do that anyway. We've got 2/5 being equal to 4/10. How could we check that? Well, if we change our 2/5 into an equivalent fraction in tenths, so by times in top number and bottom number by 2, you get 4/10, and 4/10 as a decimal is 0.4. So clearly that one is also true. And the last one there, the 7 over 25, again, if you change that into a fraction out of 100 by times and by 4, you times the top number by 4 as well, so you get 28 hundredths, and as a decimal that is 0.28. So that one is also true. So the answer that you should have chosen was in fact answer B. That is the one that is not true. So for number 2, what is 4/5 as a decimal? You can do this a couple of ways. You can do this 4/5 by changing it into tenths, and to do that you notice that you're multiplying the bottom number, the 5, by 2, which means that we also need to multiply the top number by 2, giving us 8/10, and as a decimal 8 in the tens column is going to be 0.8, which would be answer B. The alternative to that is to see that 4 over 5 is the same thing as 4 divided by 5, and that would mean you could do this as 5 into, you'd be writing the 4 as 4 point and as many zeros as you think you might need, but 5 doesn't go into 4, so you would carry the 4 over, and then you get 5 into 40, which is 8, so you get the 0.8 that way. So either of those ways, perfectly acceptable to work out your answer for that. For number 3 over 8, it is not easy to change 8 into either tens, hundreds or thousands, so here to do the 3/8 as a decimal, you want to be seeing this as 3 divided by 8. Which means you're going to do 8 into 3 point, and then you're going to need some zeros. So we would do 8 into 3, doesn't go, carry the 3 over, make sure you put your decimal point in there. 8 into 30 goes 3 times, and you've got remainder, 8 3s are 24, so you've got remainder of 6. 8 into 60, 8 7s are 56, so you'd have 4 left over, and 8 into 40 is 5. So the answer there would be 0.375, which is answer C. For this one here, you could use a calculator to do this, calculate the decimal equivalent. You could do it without the calculator, but you'll see that you get, because it's saying you must round your answer to 2 decimal places, you know it's not going to work out exactly. So on the calculator, if you do 7, so always the top number, and then this is your dividing line, 7 divided by 11, you would get 0.6363, it goes on and on. It might show up on your calculator with 2 recurrent, 2 little dots above the 6 and the 3. That just means it keeps repeating those when you write your answer down, you can write down your answer, because you're going to be rounding, write down your answer with at least sort of 4 digits like this, and then do the rounding. Now if we want our answer to have 2 decimal places, that's the first one, that's the second decimal place. You then look to the third decimal place. Because that is bigger than a 5, it makes your second decimal place go up, and that becomes 0.64. So your answer should have been answer B. This last one's got a bit of a mixture of fractions and decimals in the calculation. Notice that the answers are in decimal format, so what is a good idea here is to just work with decimals throughout. So take the 3/5 and write it as a decimal, and we've already seen that we can do that 2 ways. So easiest way is to change it into its equivalent fraction form. 3/5 is the same thing as 6/10, which as a decimal is 0.6. Now we want to do 0.6 and we're going to take away 0.01, so 0.6 take away 0.01. To balance things out, you should also put a 0 on the end of that, and then you can do your take away. Of course you've got none, take away 1, you can't do that, you go next door, make that 5 and then 10. Now you've got 10 take away 1, that's going to be 9, 5 take away 0 is 5, then you've got your decimal point and your 0, so answer of 0.59, which would have been answer C. So check your own work in, look at where you might have improved, any mistakes that you made, make sure you try to avoid making these mistakes in the future.